the champions here in Brigham City, Utah. Michelle McMahon, Kyle McKenzie in the booth, and we have a thrilling semifinal matchup coming your way. Pat Smith, Jay Devilliers taking on Riley Newman and AJ Kohler. Here we go.
Side out.
So Riley Newman, AJ Kohler, better outing, hoping for anyway, this weekend than they had in Fountain Valley, California.
Already getting revenge against their loss in Fountain Valley. We're able to take down Thomas Wilson and Julian Arnold in their last round.
0-0-2.
Devilliers into the net, and Pat Smith, Jay Devilliers back together for the first time in quite some time. Pat Smith feeling fully healthy. Just wide for Pat Smith and Riley Newman, and Kohler on the board early. 2-point lead. Wide for Devilliers again. Kohler and Newman forcing the issue.
Yeah, maybe a little bit overreaching there from Devilliers. He's known for moving a lot in men's. He feels he plays better when he moves, but sometimes can be guilty of taking a ball from his partner.
When you have somebody like Jay Devilliers who plays so big in the middle, what's the best way to neutralize a player like that?
Well, honestly, it's look to keep them moving and attack them when they are in motion. Much tougher to hit a good counter when you don't have your feet underneath you.
Second serve.
A lot of misses so far for Devilliers.
Yeah, slow start for him. Expect him to bounce back once he finds his rhythm.
Riley Newman, cagey.
Yeah, and it looks like the strategy from Devilliers and Smith right now is to test the consistency of AJ Kohler. They're playing a lot of dinks to him, but he can attack from very low locations. So if you leave your dink up just a little bit, he can go on offense.
And AJ Kohler told me before this, admittedly, that in Fountain Valley, I asked him, you know, what seemed to go wrong in this partnership? He said, we just overlooked our opponents. We looked too far ahead to JW and Dylan Frazier.
Second serve.
Yeah, obviously their goal of their partnership is to get gold medals. That's why Riley Newman made a partner change. But again, there's a lot of tough matches just on the way to playing in those championship matches.
Right up.
Well played there from Jay Devilliers. Side out. Still looking for the first point.
0-4-1.
And Pat Smith with a cross-court counter. He's been quiet, coming to life here.
So tough for him to get that across his body in the middle of a fast hand battle. That's huge, and maybe the spark that his team needs to get on board here.
Just long for AJ Kohler. And for a player like him, he's much more comfortable on the left, according to him as well.
2-4-1.
Still getting used to and acclimated to this right side roll.
Second serve.
Yeah, I think you'll especially see that when the opposing team is dinking kind of the inside foot of AJ Kohler. Does he take that with his backhand, or does he defer to Riley Newman more in that alpha roll?
And a missed dink into the net, and it's a one-point game. Devilliers and Smith crawling back in.
3-4-2.
Right at the body of AJ Kohler from Jay Devilliers. Tie game, 4-all.
Yeah, Kohler not happy with himself on that one. He is known for having lightning fast hands. Normally that backhand punch, very tough to get through.
Good counter punch once more from Pat Smith. His athleticism on full display.
Yeah, of the two, I think Smith is a little harder to attack, especially with him taking less court.
Crafty Ernie from Riley Newman.
Yeah, he's read that dink from Devilliers a couple of times now.
4-5-1. Point.
Good spot that time from Riley Newman.
Yeah, Smith trying to slide over and create space for the backhand punch, but ball just got on him a little too fast.
Second serve.
A miss for Kohler. That consistency, surely something to keep in mind in this partnership.
Later.
Ooh.
Yeah, and they're really wanting to make Kohler work. They're hitting returns to him. They're trying to make him work in transition, playing most of their dinks to him.
5-5-1.
He's known for his creative attacks and his hand speed, but if he can't get up and establish to use that, a little more vulnerable.
Second serve.
There he is. The big deep attack on the forehand.
5-5-2.
Finds the middle. AJ Kohler comes to life. Now it's a matter of the thirds and the dinking consistency to be the setup guy on the right. It's a tough role to master.
5-5-1. What?
Riley Newman starts the attack. AJ Kohler there for the scoop.
Yeah, Kohler doing just enough. Didn't hit that last one hard, but did just enough of carving around that to keep Devilliers moving. Got the error.
Good defense from Kohler. Oh, and the off speed is the one he misses. Riley Newman, I think, saying the ball is cracked, and that happens in the middle of a point.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the referee and to see what their judgment is did it affect play, and at what time in the point did it become cracked?
Or miss
Newman's making his best case here. See what the official call is. Newman clearly making the case that the ball either came out of round or was broken in the middle of that rally. Certainly could have affected the drop attempt by Kohler if the ball was already broken, and likely was.
Lucky fan and the crowd gets to keep it.
Well, either way, they're going to be playing with a new ball.
Okay.
6-5-2.
AJ Kohler, second server. Just
Right
back.
Kohler trying to test Devilliers on the stretch up his line. Devilliers doing a good job of getting on top of that volley, though.
Sign out for Devillier and Smith.
Second serve.
Not a lot of flow to this game so far.
Been choppy. It's been a little choppy.
AJ Kohler
Side out.
takes over the point. How do you strike that balance when you're used to being the guy that speeds it up and commands the point from the left and switch over to the right in this partnership?
Yeah, you just have to go in with a different mindset. Put more of a premium on fundamentals, less of a premium on that creativity. But again, that's where it's going to be challenging when so much of your identity is built around what you do well.
Second serve.
Just short for Riley Newman on the ATP attempt. Said he was so disappointed with his
7-5-2.
finishes recently, as Kyle brought up in an interview earlier. He's been doing double days in Dallas in the highest heat. Into the net goes Riley Newman, and a big side out for Devilliers and Smith, down 2.
Yeah, it shows the high standard that Newman holds himself
5-7-1.
to. I didn't think he played bad in a couple of those
5-7-1.
matches, but again, he's used to playing it on Championship Sunday or Saturday pretty much every week. So anytime he's missing that, he's going to want to add more to his game.
Sometimes it's good to be humbled when you're used to being at the top, and it's not so easy anymore. He said, even in these second round matches, it's not a walk in the park to the championships.
6-7-1.
Jay Devilliers closing the gap, down 1, first server.
Second serve.
So for Smith and Devilliers in their partnership, what do you think they need to
6-7-2.
identify with here in this matchup? Every ball to Pat Smith, he puts it away.
Yeah, I think they're doing the right thing. It's exactly what I would do. I would test the consistency of AJ Kohler, try to see if you can get them to disconnect, see if you can get Newman to overreach.
7-7-2.
And then I think it really comes down to, yes, you want Devilliers moving, but he needs to trust Pat Smith at times and not overextend himself. The more stationary he is, the better his counterpunching in his hands will be.
Smaller target when Jay Devilliers is playing as big as he is to keep the balls over to Pat Smith.
8-7-2.
Now a 1-point lead for the 1 seed. Oh, Devilliers into the net. Well defended, though, on his backhand. Earned the forehand chance, just shy. Serve back over to Koller and Newman.
7-8-1. Second serve.
Yeah, Kohler needed to split step there. He thought he could sneak all the way in and stay
7-8-2.
on offense, but tough to time your swing when your feet are still moving.
Side out.
Koller again into the net, looking frustrated. Body language suggesting that.
I'd like to see
8-7-1.
Kohler dink a little more aggressively, especially out wide. That can get his partner naturally in the play a little bit more. When he's working that safe middle dink, it makes it very easy for them to just continue hitting that ball back to him, and it takes Newman out of the
Timeout
play to some
receiving
degree.
team, 9-7-1.
Timeout called by Koller and Newman. To doing so.
9-7-1.
Match against Rafa Hewitt and Zane Navratil. A fun one to watch in the quarters. Denied by the net once more was AJ Kohler, who is clearly looking to find his rhythm. And Devilliers and Smith take game point.
10-7-1. Up.
Just long for Devilliers.
Post. Second serve.
Yeah, trying to make something happen. Finish game 1 with an exclamation point, but just a little overextended.
10-7-2. Side out.
AJ Kohler finds the attack option, takes it. 1 game point, 2 game point saves.
7-10-1.
There's AJ Kohler coming to life on the right side.
He's so good at that 1-2 combo of flicking the forehand,
8-10,
immediately getting ready for that recounter to come right to his body. Puts it away with the backhand.
Second serve.
And that misses the reset there for Newman. Down to second serve.
8-10-2.
Pops up the third, and Jay Devillier was all over it. How do you persevere beyond this point if you're Newman and Kohler looking for your rhythm?
Well, that one's going to be tough because that's a really bad take by Kohler to step in front of Newman there to take a ball off his shoelaces. So they've got to talk, they've got to stay together, and this is just going to be a fight.
Second serve.
Game point number 3 for Devilliers, second server.
10-8-2. Point game.
Just
Switch
wide for Riley Newman and Devillier and Smith. Year. It's going to be an incredible weekend. We hope to have you there. We're playing one of the events to get your golden ticket. Going to be
with
fun.
The growth of the game, that'll be a sight to see.
Oh,
Point.
what happened there?
Nice location from AJ Kohler. Flicked his wrist at the last second. Had Devillier fooled out to the backhand side.
1-0-2. Side up.
Missed third for AJ Kohler. Serve returns to Devillier and Smith.
0-1-1.
Pop-up chance. Jay Devillier delivers on an impossible angle on the backhand.
Yeah, beautiful snap of the wrist at the last second. Had Newman shifted towards the middle, he was able to take that cross court behind him. Well done by Devillier.
Jay Devillier and Pat Smith, both selections of our very own Dave Fleming, by the way. Pat Smith, so that just a moment,
Second serve.
undrafted in Major League Pickleball and then got picked up by Seattle since Brandon French is hurt.
1-1-2.
And then, of course, Jay Devillier, the 4th round pick, over to the Dallas Pickleball Club, steal in the 4th round.
Side out.
What Kohler can do, it gets just a little bit more action, a little bit more spin than most other pros, able to get that down at their feet. Kind of surprise
1-1-1.
Devillier and Smith there.
Lob defended by Pat Smith, a sneaky lob at that. What a play.
Yeah, not a bad lob at all, but Smith able to get a lot of strength on that
1-1-2.
backhand overhead.
Side out.
Jay Devillier, he has been sensational all tournament long. What do you think the key has been to his resurgence
1-1-1.
in this tournament and will be as he continues in this evolution after this point?
Point.
You know, I think it's just being energetic, keeping energy, and then not getting passive when you lose a couple of hand battles. I think that when he's
2-1-1.
lost some in the past, he's maybe questioned his confidence, but he's like, hey, next point, I know what I do well.
Second serve.
That one got away from Pat Smith, thought he had the counter attack.
Yeah, definitely had a big chunk up the
2-1-2.
line, but that ball got him on him so quick. Tough for him to measure that one.
Side out. One, two, one. Second serve.
Devilliers, big in the middle once again. It's been dominant.
Yeah, we talked about the variety that Kohler possesses. Not sure if it was the best time to go with the third shot lob there.
Side out.
So now Kohler and Newman switching sides on that sequence, and Kohler still
2-1-1.
dropping one in the net. Seems like an identity shift. Trying to figure out the role with Riley Newman, and that's part of the growing pains with a new partnership, right?
Absolutely. I think they're putting Kohler on the left where he's more comfortable, but it might hurt some of the ability to be aggressive from Newman. So we'll see how that plays out.
Side out.
Newman with the put away. Had him back on the left there. Looks like he's going to stay over on that side.
1-2-1. Second serve.
Yeah, doing a nice job of extending, getting Kohler reaching. Slight pop-up. You can see how he wasn't quite balanced as he was trying to fend off that next attack.
Big play from Devilliers, beating AJ Kohler at the body. He looks so frustrated right now. That's
2-1-1.
Again, he's clearly being targeted, but I think he needs to dink with a little more risk, a little more aggression. Work the ball out wide, try to get Newman more naturally involved.
Second serve. Two, 1-2.
Did that get in?
I think it did. That's a beautiful 1-2 combo from AJ Kohler after probably the most patient dink battle that we've seen.
1-2-1.
Insane angle on the backhand deflection.
Second serve.
Newman with the loud out call, but Kohler unable to get out of the way.
1-2-2.
AJ goes for the lob. Looks like he wants to throw his paddle.
And they're really forcing Kohler to do something different, forcing him to change the pattern in some way and just keeping Newman as much out of the play as they can here this match.
Oh, Pat Smith goes down.
Serve.
Hope he's okay.
Looks like he's fine. Maybe just tripped his feet up there temporarily.
2-1-2.
Little Elise Jones.
Side out.
Esque.
He's going for style points, you know.
Timeout, receiving team 1-2-1.
1-2-1 is the scoreline. There is a medical professional on it. We welcome him to the broadcast. Thanks for watching.
Hold on, time. Sorry. I'll recall the official score.
We'll resume play here on center court.
1-2-1.
1-2-1 is the score. Devilliers had to step up for his partner. He's been so good on that backhand.
Yeah, really hitting the ball clean right now, and expect him to get a little more aggressive if he's not sure what percentage Pat Smith is right now. So he may try to take this one over just a little bit.
Point.
And as I mentioned before the break, every ball right now going to A.J. Kohler, to be expected when you are playing with Riley Newman.
2-2-2.
A.J. Kohler trying to find his identity on the right side. Proving to be a challenge in this partnership.
Side out.
So how do you adjust? His natural play is to speed it up and to be the aggressor on the left.
Yeah, he wants to be the alpha, and he's having to be that setup player, but there's more than one way to set your partner up. Right now, he's trying to just make balls, but certain types of aggression, aggressive dinking, driving your thirds, sometimes even attacking the person cross court. It's risky, but it puts your partner involved. So I think as this partnership progresses, they're going to need to talk about ways to be able to set each other up rather than just get out there and blindly compete.
Jay Devillier on the run. Finishes the point, finds the corner. Sent long, mini finger wag from Pat Smith.
little baby wag.
Didn't get any response. The back was already turned.
4-2-2. Side out.
Well, Devilliers unable to come up with the dink there, but the good news for them is he's very comfortable taking more court. If anything, sometimes he has to be restrained. So right now, with Smith not being 100%, they're going to let Devilliers do more, and that's not really that much outside his comfort zone.
Almost plays into what he likes to do.
Yeah, to some degree, he really does.
And so, dinking to his backhand, is that the way to neutralize Jay Devilliers, to keep him honest, to stay on that side? And less pinching in the middle. What a find, Riley Newman taking over the point.
Yeah, you absolutely want to keep Devilliers honest. You're going to have to dink back behind him. You're also going to have to take your chances attacking him a certain amount as he's moving that much laterally.
3-4-2. Side out.
Nice lean in there from Pat Smith. Kohler and Newman not able to get up and established at the kitchen line.
Jay Devilliers pulls the trigger right on the wing of A.J. Kohler.
And this may turn into a simple strategy for both teams. If Smith isn't 100%, look for Newman and Kohler to play a lot of balls out that way. And already Kohler was kind of being targeted in the soft game before the injury.
Second serve.
Overambitious step in there for Devilliers, or is that the right one for him to take?
5-3-2.
I thought it was a good take. He was just a little bit behind it, especially a good take because, you know, his partner's laboring a little bit.
What a find, Pat Smith, right down the line on Riley Newman.
Yeah, great disguise from him. Really made it look like a dink till the last second. Just accelerates through the ball down the line.
Looked like that. Dink was going cross court all the way. There's A.J. Kohler coming to life. Fast hands on his side. Quick snap of the wrist from the former hockey player.
3-6-1. Point.
Again, a nice little 1-2 combo there from Kohler, flipping that first backhand attack and then finishing with the backhand counter.
Point.
Bounce off the tape. Goes deep. Riley Newman throws up. Touchdown
5-6-1.
Pulling within one. Anticlimactic way to do it.
Second serve.
If you're AJ Kohler, how do you get out of the way of that?
Well, it's so tough to have extremely fast hands and great tracking ability. There's almost
5,
nobody
6, 2.
in that category. So he's, you know, from one perspective, he's not listening to Newman, but from another, it's just not enough time to get out of the way. We've all been there on each
Selective
end.
hearing, I believe is what we call that.
6,
Pat
5, 1.
Smith has been playing lights out in the last couple of tournaments. Took down the Johns brothers with DJ Young in Seattle.
Second serve.
Riley Newman lofts it up to Pat Smith, who can't believe he missed the cookie.
Yeah, he was on that one, took a big cut at that counter, but just couldn't quite convert.
6-5-2. Side out.
1 point game. Serve back to Riley Newman.
5-6-1. Point.
Yeah, not a bad attack at all from Devilliers, trying to chicken wing Kohler. He's able to get his paddle up just enough to get on top of that
6-6-1. Second serve.
His third for Kohler. Where should he be targeting on his thirds?
I think he's doing the right
6-6-2.
thing. He's trying to get Devilliers overextended by playing it to Pat Smith, trying to open up the court.
Side
And
out.
then Pat Smith does that with a high third opportunity.
Smith almost giving himself the sign to
6,
just
6,
settle
1.
down, take it 1 point at a time.
Second serve.
You've seen a couple of times Devilliers trying to speed up cross, kind of in the body
6,
of Newman
6,
to
2.
keep him honest. Just got a little excited there, put too much on it.
Point.
Jay Devilliers defending and pressing some offense.
And Newman giving a
7,
look
6,
to
2.
Kohler there, almost like surprised that he wasn't able to convert on that backhand punch. That's a strength of the AJ Kohler game.
Side out.
Newman and Kohler, 1 point deficit, serve back on their side, looking to
6,
find their
7,
rhythm
1.
still. Still been kind of an awkward match. Good defense from Kohler. His hand speed is second to none.
Yeah, showing a nice little reset ability there. Didn't really have the opportunity to counter it, but kept it nice and low.
7-7-1.
Pat Smith unable to stay on the attack.
Jay
Second
Devilliers
serve.
gets out of the way, lets it go. It's a big body to miss for Newman and Kohler.
Again, doing just enough with that first counter, again, of getting a
7,
downward
7-2.
trajectory on it. Tough for Newman to stay on the attack without it going long.
Jay Devilliers. Did he get it?
I think he did. Kohler ducking to get out of the way. Normally that's a good leave, but looks like
7,
Devilliers had
7-1.
just enough spin to find the court.
Which makes it 8-7-1. That's a good shot
Second
from
serve.
AJ Kohler.
When he has initiated, he's done quite well with most of those 1-2 combos.
7-7-2.
Score 7-7-2, excuse me.
Side out.
And his third, good return from Newman and Kohler. Putting it right on the backhand of Devilliers. Tie game, 7-all. Kohler and Newman
7-7-1.
need a push.
Quiet.
I like the play from A.J. Kohler. He'd been dropping a lot, kind of surprised Devilliers and Pat Smith with a drive there.
Second serve.
Good depth on that volley from Devilliers.
8-7-2.
Dink from Devilliers started it out. Pat Smith pinches in, finishes. Gets the side out. What a point.
Yeah, really nice ball movement from Smith and Devilliers, opening up the court, letting that attack happen naturally.
Second serve.
Well played by A.J. Kohler that time. Stayed patient in the point.
Yeah, was able to get Devilliers right on his right hip, really jammed him up there.
No. 7-8-2.
Oh, Pat Smith. Where was he going there? Last minute hesitation.
I think he thought the line would be open, but either way, that bounce was very, very low for him to try to do anything other than just dink that back.
Second serve.
Oh, a deflating miss for Kohler. You could tell by Riley Newman's reaction. All the wind knocked out of their sails.
Yeah, I think he's 4 for 4 on reading that inside-out dink from Devilliers and jumping the kitchen. But once you do that, you're certainly reliant upon your partner to win the hand exchange.
And that's a momentum-changing point, too. Go up 9-7. Stay on your first serve. I was just going to say he saved himself in that point sequence, but Devilliers, Pat Smith, stayed hungry.
Yeah, this point changed who they had the advantage a couple different times.
A.J. Kohler.
Second serve.
Gets one, holds.
Yeah, that is absolutely huge for Koller and Newman. Devilliers and Smith continuing to target Koller.
7-8-2.
A.J. Kohler coming to life at the perfect time. Serve back on their side, no point scored for Devilliers and Smith.
Yeah, he really stuck that first ball. He was able to get it down at the Devilliers feet.
Seems like he would be the X factor here in the closing moments.
Second serve.
Devilliers going toe-to-toe with Kohler.
It's just a battle of lightning fast hands on both sides.
8-7-2.
Riley Newman takes over, finishes the point right back at Pat Smith. Devilliers shouted for a potential out ball in the middle of that sequence. Too fast to react that quickly.
9-7-2. Slide out.
1 point earned for Koller and Newman. Serve back to Devilliers and Smith, down 2. Could close out the match here. Pat Smith nursing a brewing head injury at the moment. Hasn't seemed to bother him, though, according to his play.
Oh, yeah, he's done just fine coming out of the medical timeout.
Second serve.
That's a tough miss for Pat Smith. Just a little more lift he's looking for.
An example of an aggressive dink that I'd love to see Kohler use more often. Even if that goes over, it gives his team time to adjust and stay in control, gets his partner a little more involved too.
Jay Devillier closes on the backhand punch. Well set up by Pat Smith, who's looking for more from this crowd in Utah. These two have an historic partnership. First came together here in Utah, I believe.
Oh, side out.
Devillier trying to set that up to himself and then hit the spike. I think he mixed up his sports there.
Good thing he's okay. Protected the head. Wrist was a little more vulnerable.
9-8-1. Second serve.
And a shot from Pat Smith, rolling it at the feet of A.J. Kohler.
Yeah, continuing to try to drop to Pat Smith. I don't mind it, but he has so much power on that forehand side. If you do leave it up, it can really make you pay.
Side out.
Yeah, not a bad time to drive from Kohler. Devillier was pushed back by the serve, but just couldn't clear the net on the drive attempt. And big opportunity here at 8-9 with the ball back for Smith and Devillier.
No, Riley Newman punishing the overly aggressive Jay Devillier. Storming over to the right side.
Yeah, again, he's continued to read that inside-out dink. Knows that that's the likely play when Devillier comes all the way over like that.
Bounce off the tape. No go for Pat Smith. Serve back to Kohler and Newman. 2 points away from forcing a third.
9-8-1.
Jay Devillier keeps Riley Newman back at the baseline. Smart choice for him to neutralize him in that position.
Yeah, he's going to be as aggressive as he can, especially on fourth balls. He does not want Kohler and Newman to neutralize this point. Got Kohler on the left.
And there he is on the Ernie. A little bit of life in his demeanor. Game point for the 1 seed.
10-8-2.
Pat Smith finds the opening, saves a game point, gets the serve back. Crucial side out for Devilliers and Smith.
Yeah, Newman and Kohler trying to drive and crash immediately in, but just got a little bit exposed, moving a little too much there.
8-10-1.
Good shot by A.J. Kohler, picking apart Smith and Devillier. One more try for Devillier to close the 2-point hole. Jay Devillier finds it. It's a 1-point game.
Able to get through Kohler with a 1-2 combo of his own.
9-10-2. Side out.
Just wide for Pat Smith. Riley Newman finally getting in the mix, and what patient work from AJ Kohler, staying alive in the dink battle.
10-9-1.
Kohler and Newman could close it here. Game point number 2.
Second serve.
Not yet. One more try on Newman's serve.
Yeah, trying to work a little shake and bake
10-9-2.
there, but Devilliers able to get on top of that volley, getting it down at Newman's feet.
Wow. Literally put everything on the line on that shot, did Riley Newman. And they live to see another day.
Yeah, fitting that it ends with a Burt. More calculated offense, not feeling as though he has to be passive out there, because that's not his personality, and I don't think he'll play his best in that role. And then it's tough to give a scouting reporter a game plan for Smith and Devilliers, because it depends on what percentage Smith is at. So that's kind of a private conversation with them, I think. But if Pat Smith's 100%, then I think that Devilliers gives him a little bit more space to work with.
Right foot stepped on the sideline.
Ooh.
Second serve.
Fault called on the right foot of Jay Devilliers.
But I think you're going to see Devilliers continue to be aggressive as far as his lateral movement at the kitchen line. He's just got to vary his patterns maybe a little bit better than he did at the end of game 2.
Right.
Jay Devilliers forcing AJ Kohler into a vulnerable spot. First point of game 3 goes to the 4 seed. Looking to make it a championship Saturday as a duo reunited.
Side out.
A great look at that shake and bake play. That's going to hurt just a little bit if you're Devilliers.
Well, left foot. Point.
Now football call on Pat Smith.
Left
Kohler and Newman on the board.
They're technically both on there.
Yeah, sometimes when a player will lean forward, their toe will slide just a little bit. Look to be what happened there with Pat Smith.
Big point for Newman and Kohler. Both sides aggressive. Kohler playing the left in that sequence.
Yeah, using a little shake and bake play of their own. Looks like they're going to keep Kohler on the left side where he's a little bit more comfortable.
Point.
It's definitely the side he says he prefers to play. With Riley Newman, of course, it just changes things. Hands battle goes in favor of Riley Newman, willing his way through this match. He would love nothing more than to get back to his championship status. Been a minute since splitting with Matt Wright.
We talked about how hungry he is, doing those 2-a-days back home in Dallas.
In the no-joke heat at like 2 and 3 p.m. where the sun is peak hot.
5-1-1. Point. Timeout for end change. 6-1-1.
Devilliers and Smith falling apart at the seams. The Vulcan Tournament of Champions. And around the back, the 10th from Jay Devilliers, and AJ Kohler looking quite comfortable on that left side. They said they adjusted this earlier in the tournament, And it
7-1-1.
seems to be the anecdote, at least in this semifinal match.
Yeah, he's an aggressive player, and I think he's just more comfortable with some aggressive patterns over on that left side.
Point.
There they are again, finding their rhythm.
Yeah, not only are they playing better, Michelle, but they're finally bringing some energy even in between the points. They really had an energy lull there to start this match.
Yeah, they were not a cohesive unit. Wow, barely a ball out of reach for Riley Newman. Pat Smith found the perfect loft.
8-1-2. Oh, I'm so there. Side out.
Battle clank in the middle. What was Riley thinking in that moment?
Well, he definitely anticipated exactly where Pat Smith was going to go, but he was pretty far out of position to be able to come up with that.
1-8-1. Point.
Opted to stay on the left that time for Newman. Hits it into the net. Smith and Devilliers showing some life, down 6.
2-8-1.
Back to the original
Second
game
serve.
plan to A.J. Kohler, who found a way to win the point on the pop-up.
Yeah, Devilliers just getting a little bit stretched on that forehand dink, put a little too much air under it,
2-8-2.
and Kohler took advantage.
Side out.
Just long serve back to the 1 seed.
Yeah, Newman has that unique ability to fire that two-hander at multiple locations.
8-2-1.
Able to slide that one up the line and just make Smith just a little late on the forehand counter.
Second serve.
Kohler in a good position, but you can see his feet just
Yeah.
moving ever so slightly, and
8-2-2.
that's sometimes just enough to throw off the timing on the volley.
That time, Riley Newman wasn't letting that lob get over his shoulder. Buries it 2 points away from a championship appearance. First time for Riley Newman in a couple of tournaments.
Yep. 9-2-2. Side out.
Jay Devilliers has been the pressure applier on his side.
2-9-1.
Down 7.
Point.
That shot's in the Kohler arsenal. I think that was high enough to engage there. Normally he's going to
3-9-1.
convert.
Second serve.
Yeah, Devilliers very frustrated. Had a good read on that one. Cut the angle off, stepped in
3-9-2.
front of his partner, and just couldn't clear the net.
Side out.
Yeah, caught leaning forward, moving just a little bit on that reset.
9-3-1. Point.
Match point for Kohler and Newman.
Ten, 3-1. Point, game, match.
A.J. Kohler smirking on his finish. And Riley Newman and A.J. Kohler somehow recover when you thought they were going down.